guys, MissCrazyGamer here, and welcome to Guess This WikiHow article. I saw a couple of YouTubers play this over on YouTube, I guess, and I felt like, one, this is very ridiculous and stupid, and two, since it's very ridiculous and stupid, it's gonna get a lot of views. So, yeah, no, I'm just kidding. But it looks fun. It looks, I mean, if you don't know what WikiHow is, just it's pretty much a website where all of your questions are being answered with very weird, like, kind of drone images like this one. And oh my god, if you search anything, WikiHow has literally everything, has an answer to all of your questions. Like, I'm not even joking, sometimes it's even ridiculous. Like, I don't even know. But anyway, let's get started. So, my score is currently 0 because I haven't really tested this out. Because, well, I don't know. But anyway, what is the title of this WikiHow article? So, how to get a boy to dance with you and then kiss you at the end, middle school. How to talk to girls as a teen boy. How to support the arts and how to be less clingy or clingy. I don't know. I'm guessing this one. Nope. How to support the arts. How was I supposed to know? What? How? I don't even know. Okay, what is the title of this WikiHow article? How to increase your ejaculate. How to get a boy to dance with you. Okay, I know that. How to get your nipples pierced. How to control your urge to masturbate. This one? Nope. How to increase your. Okay. How to take action if a guy calls you ugly. How to cosplay as SpongeBob. How to act like Sonic the Hedgehog. How to get your nipples pierced. How to. I have no idea. How to. How to act like. What? How to take action if a guy calls you ugly. Oh my god! What? How was I supposed to. Oh, whatever. How to be a trophy wife. How to give someone a hickey. How to understand the male ego. How to come down from a high. How to understand the male ego. Yes! That's 2 in a row! Woo! Can we get an 100%? Please. How to respectfully decline that? You know what. How to find a husband when the women outnumber the men in your country. How to tell when a girl is interested in you. How to resist sexual desires by following Islamic traditions. How to find a husband when the women outnumber the men in your country? Yes! We did it! Woo! I'm very good at this. How to be a stripper who knows what she's doing. How to be a good husband. How to make friends online. How to smell seductive. How to smell seductive on dates. This one? No, how to be a good husband. Come on. That was too obvious. I thought it's gonna be something weirder. Anyway, we got 3. That's okay. Oh, and my correct rate goes down. Okay, how to discuss Barack Obama intelligently. How to relax when you're sick. How to get anime eyes. How to tell when a girl is interested in you. Uh, how to get anime eyes? How to relax when you're sick. You just look at your hand? What the? Whatever. How to not get nervous. How to deal with your parents' divorce. How to visit Laguna Beach, California. How to deal with probably how to deal with your parents' divorce. Yeah. I mean, look, and one is called throwing a grenade, and the other is throwing knives or scissors or whatever. So makes sense. Um, how to pole vault. How to make yourself famous on YouTube. How to choose a rigorous college schedule for your first year. How to dissolve the ego. Uh, how to pole vault. Did I even click that? Oh, I don't know, man. How to give someone a hickey, how to build a child's self-esteem, how to cheat on a test, how to kick out a dangerous roommate, how to build a child's self-esteem. Yeah, got him. Uh, okay. What is the next? Ooh, how to be a punk. That's definitely the correct thing. I'm such a punk, man. How to be a good husband? No. Show respect? No. How to understand hit? this and how to come down from a high. How to come down from a high? Yes, I did it! Am I the only person who finds this creepy? Like, what? This is so creepy! How to be the type of nerd that girls love. How to do laughter yoga. How to plan a Disney vacation. How to be a true hip hop artist. How to do laughter yoga. How to be. Come on! Uh. How to be subtle about getting a guy to call you. How to act drunk. How to cure daffodil bulbs for replanting. How to become an Olympian. Uh, I don't know. How to be subtle about getting a guy to call you? How to act drunk? Man, I don't know. How to stand up for yourself, how to be strong, how to be a lesbian girlfriend. I'm so sorry. I'm sorry, that's not correct. How to know if you're drunk, how to make a guy that is mad and you look like you again through text, how to trick people into thinking you're possessed, how to turn a girl on, how to trick people into thinking you're possessed. No, god damn it! I'm very like I'm 50% is my best rated. How to give your boyfriend space, how to reason, how to be pretty, how to make your girlfriend want to have this one. Yeah! Now you know the truth, people. What the hell? What in the world? How to be persuasive, how to laugh naturally on cue, how to control a Rosa. I don't know what that is. How to stop masturbation addiction. Uh, how to be persuasive? How to laugh naturally on cue. Okay, cool. I have no idea. How to buy used electronics, how to catch a cheating girlfriend, how to act when your boyfriend keeps paying for everything, how to ask a girl to dance. Probably this one? Oh, I was between those two, and I was like, okay. How to run away from home, how to create a benefit concert series, how to act like Bella from Twilight, how to avoid uncomfortable conversations about religion. Yee. How to uh, how to stop staring at a girl's boobs, how to feed a snake, how to talk dirty in bed, how to stop thinking about that accepting help is a sign of weakness, how to talk dirty in bed. Yee, talk dirty to me. Okay, I'm done. I'm. Why do I find these creepy? This is so creepy again. How to put your arm around a girl, how to cosplay Barbie, how to have a happy, healthy, and spiritual, fulfilled old age, how to be a successful teenager. Nope, how to cosplay Barbie. Okay, good to know. How to know if you have DID or dissociative personality disorder. How to be less clingy, how to act like a villain, how to know if you're how to act like a villain. How to know if you're drunk. You're drunk if you're pretending to be Superman. Like what? Okay, how to use French? How to stop binge drinking? How to impress people? How to how to respectfully decline. How to be pretty? How to not do drugs? How to accept your boyfriend's interest in pornography? How to get rid of an unwanted erection? How to be pretty? Yeah. Okay, cool. How to be a good entertainer? How to treat nasal infection early? How to kick out a dangerous roommate? How to date a stripper? How to date a stripper? I mean, this is these questions are just like this WikiHow articles are just 10 out of 10. Uh, okay, so how to clear stuff? You know, how to speak Finnish? How to deal with people who ignore you? How to come down from a high? How to come down from a high? How to deal with people with oh, come on. How to give someone a hickey, how to get a lesbian girl, how to channel, how to survive a charging elephant. How to give someone a hickey? Yee. Okay. How to identify trauma in autistic people, how to identify a psychopath, how to be unique, how to get over a crush on your on your best friend, how to identify trauma in autistic people. Yee, I don't know why I'm happy with this. This is just sad. But anyway, how to tell if you genuinely like someone, be a hipster girl to convince people at school that you're a vampire. Yeah, this one, definitely. I mean, look, he has vampire teeth. Can we get a 60%? Come on. Oh my god, another one of these. How to cure a headache without medication? How to be emotionless? How to give someone how to get famous when you how to cure a headache without medication? How to be emotionless? I'm pretty sure she's not emotionless. Like you can see this. She's pretty happy. Come on. I don't know, man. I don't know if I should censor that or not. I mean, yay. How to use French in conversation about mammals? How to win a tickle war? How to survive a charting? How to choose a rigorous college schedule? How to win a tickle war? Okay, cool. And I'm gonna go up to 20, and I'm gonna end this there. How to enjoy phone? Uh, you know that. How to become a hacker? How to turn a girl on? How to speak Finnish? How to speak Finnish? Yeah. How to love your girlfriend? Touch a girl? Pull an all-nighter? Prevent depression? Prevent depression? Yeah. Okay. So I'm gonna end this here. I think. Uh, you know what? Just one more. One more. How to be interesting. How to know when you'll get your first period. How to be sexually empowered. How to win a fist fight. Fist fight? Yeah. Okay. Cool. So after 20, the score of 21, I have a correct rate of 60%, and I want you guys to play this for yourself. Get yourself 21 points, and tell me what your percentage was. Again, if you want to play the game, link in the description. This is a weird game. I don't know. Actually, no, the game isn't weird. WikiHow is weird. WikiHow is very weird. But anyway, thanks for watching this. If you did enjoy, make sure to leave a thumbs up and check out the channel if you enjoy the content that is being uploaded to the channel. Maybe hit the subscribe button as well. And as always, I will see you all later. Take care and stay crazy. Bye!